Welcome to the end of May. Imagine that. Summer's arriving, spring's leaving, and we're working on getting some heat coming in, maybe. It's sunny out there, and welcome to the Phoenix Business Exchange Bell's Corners edition. And you know what? Let's share some information about what we are all about. We're a community of businesses that are interlaced, and we help each other. And we have an accountant, we have a person that does home repairs, we have someone that does brakes, we have someone that does mortgages. We even have someone that does stretch your body and snap it back into shape and help you if you had a concussion. A full round spectrum. What does that mean? That means we have a good cross section of people that we come across. And why does that matter? Well, it helps us network, not only us, but you. And if you're interested in becoming a Phoenix member, come on in. We'd be more than glad to have you in this space. I'm just going to give you some stats to give you a sense of what's going on behind the scenes. First off, we have something called referrals, and that's kind of straightforward. Year to date, we've done 154 of them. Then we have something else that's kind of have a unique name. It's kind of cutesy, BAMs, business activity meetings. That means we meet with our colleagues. And the purpose behind that is to understand what they need, what they have, what they're looking for. And sometimes things come to mind. Like we have another gentleman in the Wednesday group, and he has Arizona HVAC. So all of a sudden, I need a fireplace. Well, you know what? Matt takes care of fireplaces. And so that's how you build that type of referral. Amount of business just done between the members year to date is over $96,645 year to date. So that means, Sam would be doing tire servicing, and much like this weekend, last weekend, he flipped the tires over for me from winter to summer before I start wearing my tires out, right? Gives me sound sagely advice about, your brakes. These are how these things work, right? We had a good dialogue. And that's what a BAM is. That's that whole process. And you know what? Speaking of Sam, I'm going to swing over and let him do a quick introduction of thoughts and wisdom about cars. Sam, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everyone. Well, let's see. Let's talk about alignment when it comes to your vehicle. There's two times I would recommend getting an alignment in your vehicle. And the reason why you want alignment in the vehicle is because your tires can wear down unevenly and cost you to spending money that unnecessarily. So the two times you want to get in alignment is one, when you've hit a curb or a abutment or something like that with your tires, or maybe a big pothole in the road, which Ottawa has a lot in the spring. You may have actually hit one lately. And the other time is when you buy new tires. So why would you get alignment when you buy new tires? Well, because you may have hit some of those potholes and your old tires have been starting to wear out unevenly. And you're going to buy, these days, usually costs around $1,000 for a good set of tires. Why would you want to spend $1,000 only to ruin those tires with a bad alignment? So you want to get that done. Usually alignment costs you maybe 100, 150 bucks. So those are two times that I would recommend getting an alignment: when you hit something, pothole, something like that, or when you buy new tires. That's it for me. Back to you, Bernie.
Sam, thank you so much. And just put into the chat the LinkedIn Live post so anybody that's here can post their details in the LinkedIn Live on the Phoenix Business Exchange Inc. LinkedIn page. And so we're going to do a round robin of, hey, what's been going on in your week? And hey, we were away last week. So, if you had any BAMs, business activity meetings, or referrals that have transpired, bring them out. And by the way, we're also meeting a Wednesday morning, and this Thursday morning, I believe we're meeting at River Lounge in person, no Zoom. So Wednesday, Zoom, same link as today, and Thursday in person at River Lounge. And the fickle finger of fate's going to swing around, and I'm going to start off with Doc Hockey, Shane Bayless. And Shane, if you're available, come online.
Hey guys,
Shane, thank you, sir.
how's everything going? Good.
Steady.
Hope everyone enjoyed the nice Sunday anyway. So I'm Shane Bills, Pro Action Health and Performance. We did a concussion repetitive strain injury talk with the baseball team, under 13 Canada baseball team, guys and girls, which when they first contacted me, it was a girl's mother that contacted me about it because they were looking for sponsorships. I said, well, why don't we do a talk? And so I put down girls baseball. I'm like, I better race that right away. It's baseball. You know how people get all up and at them about names and stuff like that. So that was my big dilemma of the day. Besides IT stuff, that's always my hard thing to get going. But anyways, I went really well with them. And I did have an interesting case. So if anyone's heard of trigger finger, so trigger finger kind of looks like, trigger thumb, trigger finger, kind of very similar, right? So you have your thumb and it's like, right? So it doesn't have that smooth, like when we're looking here, it goes nice and smoothly over. Here's my thumb. It goes nice and through. I can't get my thumb on here. Here we go. Here it goes. Nice and smooth in through here. And the other one goes. Yes, sir. Hold on a second. Perfect. Say hi to everybody. Okay, go see mommy. I'll be right with you. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so that goes nice and smooth. So what happens is a little nodule in their thumb ligament there. So it's between. It's hard to hold my phone and do the same thing, but it's a ligament that goes in through there. A tendon called your flexor pollicis longus. And then it gets stuck in each sheath because each time you move, there's a little bit of a sheath that goes through, so it makes it smooth. They call it a pulley system. So you're going to have your A1 and your A2 pulley system. Anyway, the one at the end part here often gets frictioned a lot. And people that use their hands a lot or they're gripping and they're moving the thumb, it often becomes a nodule. And the nodule gets stuck in these sheaths. And it creates this, and it's hard to see. So, it's hard to move. And then if at some point that nodule gets too big, then it gets stuck and it really hurts. And so people have been doing that, but you have to get this treated quickly when it starts to just be going like this instead of it being stuck and you can't get it out at all. So when it's once stuck and I can't move it out. Anyways, you got to get that treated early. We can do it with Graston and we go that and we knock down that nodule to get smoother so it goes in through that sheath again and it's small enough to do that. So those people that might have that, if it gets too bad, you have to go surgical and try to get that done, or it just becomes locked and you kind of deal with it, which is horrible. But anyways, that's something we can treat early on. So if you have somebody that has trigger thumb, even trigger finger, get it treated early, and we have a better chance to doing that. Still, the stuff is out there of what helps it, heat or ice, because it's a nodule. It's like fibrosis in through the tendon. It's sometimes hard to treat. So and hard to just do at home maintenance stuff. So keep your hands, stretch them out, make sure you're not using them too much and do the opposite of what you do at home. So I say, if you're doing a lot of grip stuff, do a lot of extension stuff in rice, just stretching it out, those types of things. Anyway, that's your trigger thumb information for today. I hope that helps anybody that might know somebody. Tell them to swing them my way. Thanks again, guys. Love you, Sam and Bernie and, Jacqueline and
Norm.
Tony and Norm. I see you. It's like polka dot door in here, okay? I see all of you, okay? Have a good one.
That dated us. If you're a pet groomer, we're looking for one. And if you know that business is looking for more traction, have them reach out to Penny Lee, and we can help them out and get that kind of traction pushed out there. I'm going to swing over next to Jacqueline because her screen's offline. And what better way to the last minute to get some money back online? Jacqueline, over to you.
And then Norm. Perfect. Oh, Bernie, I have to say, this morning with sun shining, I did take a breath. I did lift my shoulders, take them back, release them down, and remember what my Saturday was all about. So I was at the Orange Barn, which is an event facility that's out in Navan, Ontario. Beautiful space. She decided to have an open house, not a trade show, but an open house where we all set up so that we could do what we do at Phoenix, tell people how we can help and what our benefits are. And it was amazing conversations that I had, people rolling through. Another incredible conversation was with a gentleman named Gerard, and he's part of SOS, and it's Step Off the Streets. And so he was homeless for 2 years, and he decided there's got to be a way to get back on track. And so he has for 2 years. He's been with this non-for-profit helping people on the street. So I'm going to go on Tuesday and walk and deliver clothing, shoes that are required for people who are homeless. It was amazing, the conversations that we have. Unknown. So yes, I can help you with mortgage strategies for your mortgage money. because I'm your mortgage honey. And this mortgage honey knows how to walk the streets and help out people. So have a beautiful day.
Jacqueline, thank you so much. Just next quick promotional is Carl Richards has got a podcast jumpstart program on the go. If you happen to be in Kitchener on May 27th, hey, that's tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Collab Hive. He's got something happening June 5th, the Count Eponymous location, and then June 12th in Scarborough. So if those tickle your fancy, reach out to Carl or just follow the links. Norm, over to you, sir.
So last week, we had to repair soffits because pigeons were getting into the soffit and other birds were getting into the soffits, had to get them out and to seal up the soffit. There's raccoons that did about $3,000 worth of damage to the soffit, right? Because it was wide soffit and they'd fallen through it, they'd ripped part of it out, and I told the customer what it was, and I said, well, we should do it as critical as possible because he caught 5 raccoons. He said, no, well, I'm going to put it off for a while. And I said, well, they have cousins, and if if you don't do something right away, the cousins will come. Yeah. The cousins came, right? So now he's got to get the cousins, and then we're going to be on standby. As soon as the cousins leave, we're going to go fix that thing. And I was at a customer's house where we were doing some storm windows or getting ready to do some storm windows. We looked at the neighbor, and they had exhaust fans, outlets, and they have little flaps. Just, so when the wind blows, closes the flap. When you exhaust, the flap comes over. The birds learn to open the flap. They're in there making a nest, right? So you should take pictures of your exhaust outside your house and send them to me, and I'll tell you whether you probably have birds in there or if you have one of those cameras that you can focus on that vent. If the one with the little flaps, you probably have birds in because I've learned how to open it and get in and make the nests in there. So it means the nest has to come out and you have to have different flaps. So, my biggest income promoters were animals. They said, hey, we'll create some work for you. We'll make nests where you don't want us to make nests. So that's a tip for today is check what kind of vents you have, exhaust vents on the outside of the house. I'm going to tell you whether you have to be replaced. It's bird proof. For Boyer Boys Home Maintenance Repair, we fix your home, and the honeydew list, we get it done.
Norm, thank you so much, and good reminder. And tis the breeding season for some animals, so be mindful of that because apparently porcupines are also out there doing that, and Eric probably can touch on that later on, and or skunks. And next quick promo item is the golf tournament on September 4th at 2:30 in the afternoon at the Canadian in support of the Canada Food Cupboard. So all proceeds will go to the Canada Food Cupboard. And basically, it's to help sustain their business and promote that business, and even it's a charity. Swinging over to Mr. Sam and then Tony. Sam, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bernie. Happy Monday morning to everyone. Sam Sturz, connectedcars.ca. There's my contact information in the chat. Well, let's see. First of all, I'm known as Dashcam Sam because I installed dash cameras in cars, nice and neat, no wires hanging down right to the fuse panel of the car. I have 2 of them set for this week of installations, and I can do one for you or a friend if you so wish. This time of year, the weather's getting nicer, and take a look down into that driver's section of your car, the floor. Chances are it's a mess because that winter salt and crap that's accumulated is still there, unfortunately, unless you take it out. And that's one thing I do. I do car cleaning in the seasonal time, which is this time of year. So if you are interested in or you know someone that is, I do that kind of work right from the engine bay right to the back end of the car. And I do even cleaning in the outside and waxing. So that's it for me. Let's see, Dan's wise. Bernie mentioned he was here last weekend. I got his summer tires installed in his car. Took a look at all his tires. They look great. He's a great person in taking care of his vehicle, and all his brakes were in fantastic condition. So I can do that for you or someone else. Samster's Connected Cars.ca, today's mobile electronics without the cost of a new vehicle, and a heck of a lot more.
Sam, thank you. And the reason the brakes are so fantastic is because Sam services them too. So I don't have to pay high-end prices. Next quick promo, East Trade Winds is tomorrow, Tuesday. The Zoom link is in the chat, and it is free to attend. Connect with people across Canada. Tony, over to you, sir. Mute.
Thank you very much, Bernie, and hi, welcome everybody to coming in today. It's getting really busy as far as people wanting more insight. I guess this must be the season that people are getting into new business ventures. They're getting into partnerships. They're getting into mortgages and all these big things that a signature can change your life for the next 15 years or something, you know. And so a lot of people are coming in for readings to just to double check to make sure they're on the right track, and they're doing that. I had one the other day that they were about ready to partner with another person, and one thing you got to keep in mind that people are different in private than they are in business. I'm not sure if you've noticed that, but they say, "Oh, we get along really well." But the reading was the exact opposite. This is good as a friend. Yes, it's good to have a beer with. It's good, but Spirit was not very shining on this particular partnership. And the person says, yeah, but he's got this going. There's a lot of advantages that he has. He knows a lot about sales. I know a lot about manufacturing. He says, this is true, but he's not going to work. For some reason, there's not going to be much. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be doing about 90% of the work, and he'll still want half. But this is just a caveat, right? I mean, you can still do what you want. I mean, but you're going in with an open eye. And anyway, he still went ahead with it because he still felt very strongly that it would be a good union. And they've just been together for about 2 weeks. And there's already little issues coming. He's already come in again for another reading to his mental health, because there's just not that coming in. The thing is that energy looks at things in a different way. We don't look at how people look and what they are in private life. It's about whether or not it's going to be optimal for you. It's never about the other person. I don't have permission to read the other person. I only have permission to, if you're going to get into something with somebody else. So we did a quick tuning session. In a tuning session, a person becomes more aware of what's going on around them. They become actually more psychic. They're more intuitive. And afterwards, during the session, about 3/4 of the way through, I asked them the question, what is the best way to get through this? And without missing a note, he says to get out of it. He says, oh my God, I can't believe that came out of me. So he says there was a second part of this whole thing that was going to be more permanent. This was sort of a 30-day thing. I says, well, that was smart to do it as a starter, but just realize if you sign something bigger, it's so when you already have the answer, and a tuning session with different frequencies brings it out of you. All right. Sometimes in your gut, I don't know, but I think it'll go well because we have great beer together. That might be true, but you don't always need to get into business with the people that you know really well as pals, because it's really hard to fire a pal. Okay, so keep in mind that way. That also next month, June 26th, we're gearing up for a sound bathing event. I have about half of the tickets sold for my place here. I can bring them in about 15 people. In my studio here, and the rest is going to be online. I'm already getting various people from the States that have signed up. So I want to make this sort of a global thing by next month. My goal is to have over 100 people online and a full house, standing room only. And this is basically to bring in sound frequency and bring in your problems, bring in your health issues, whatever else is ailing you, or mentally or whatever, bring it in. And through frequency, in a 2-hour program, we're going to see if we can find you some answers. Okay. There's no readings then, but the thing is, it brings out whatever it is you're looking for, and you'll just know what to do. Hopefully at the end, we get connected that way. So if you want more information, give me a call. I put in the links in there. I can help you there. But yeah, it's a marvelous. I got new gongs and crystal bowls and everything, and they're marvelous. Practicing on these things for hours. They told me not to do, but I don't listen. I'm in a daze all day, so it's really cool stuff. So Tony Jennis from Higher Self, we are here to make your day, make your spirits.
Tony, thank you so much. And other things we're looking for: a home and auto insurance agent or broker for this group. So if you know somebody that's looking, again, expand their market reach, pick up new clients, this be the place to come on in and visit. And so what else has been going on? Well, for myself, I connect with people, and it just, East Trade Winds is a good example, the Knack for Business podcast. And in fact, right now, one of the things is we're getting so much traction that we have people that find the people, it's like an agency broker themselves, and they're looking to find podcasts for their guests, their clients to go on. And so we're starting to ramp that up. So that's a good sign. That's out in the wild. Property Wizard podcast is another one about about real estate investing, commercial or otherwise, residential, and what's involved. East Trade Winds, and to give you a sense of the space that's out there from the commercial space. I went on tour with Fred Crouch, who's the host of the Property Wizard podcast. There's an old monastery in Westboro. It's abandoned, and you're walking through there, and it's just really cool to see that. It's too bad the vandals got in there, but you're walking through that space, and all of a sudden you start seeing the opportunities. I also see the pocketbook growing or getting depleted pretty quick. Norm, you'd have a heyday there. You never leave. You'd never leave. You'd become a monk. But lots of broken windows, lots of neat stuff. It's kind of a cool thing. But that is part of the journey from the creative insight. We end up seeing cool things and hearing about cool things and seeing if there's an opportunity. If you have a spare 5 to 10 mil to go, that's the place to be. And and it's 5 acres of property in Westboro. Can you imagine that? It's a bush lot right now, for most part. Anyhow, I'm going to stop yammering away, because you know what? Our next piece of fine information, presentation material. Mr. Eric Sonego, over to you, sir.
Good morning. Can I be heard okay?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because Monday mornings I always have trouble with my headphone, because I think it goes on strike over the weekend when I'm not using it.
Yeah, it's from Tuesday to Friday that it works.
Yes. Eric Sonego of Eric's Run Professional Group. We specialize in accounting for small and medium-sized businesses. We're located in Canada. And we like to say that we bring reason to numbers and numbers to reason, because that is in essence what accounting is, what the relationship with the client is. And whichever way you want to have that statement applies to a client. So we can have reasonable clients with unreasonable situations, or unreasonable clients with reasonable situations. But our life rotates around that most of the time. Today, I'm going to talk about, 10 of the thousands of things you need to do to manage a business. These are 10 of the ones that are concentrated on the financial side of management. There's other ones that concentrate on the HR side of management, or on the marketing side of the business. This is just the how to take care of your beans. And I need to share my
It's starting to share
Um,
there.
can
Your
you
desktop's now up.
can you see it now?
So you want to expand that whole box. So go for the box.
Yeah.
Press F5, Foxtrot 5 on your keyboard. Bingo, you're up.
Yep. All right. So financial planning tips for small business, or how to keep your head in turbulent times. Most businesses do not have formal budget management. Why is that? Why do you think people do not have formal budget management? Does anybody know?
Because they're good at what they do, not at accounting, which is what you do.
It's because it's frightening. Yeah, that's a good answer, but it's frightening it's frightening to do a plan. Because the moment you do a plan, you have something to address. You have something to check up on you. And a lot of businesses, including I would say 60% of my clients or 70% of my clients, do not have formal budget management. And when we do it for them because the bank wants it, they never read it. Because you can run a company, for many, many years without giving it formal planning management. But what happens is, it's like you getting in the water to go swimming, and you don't know whether you're in a pool or the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean. You have no sense of the magnitude of your world, no sense of the limitations of your world. And that's why you need to do, formal, not difficult management, but some sort of management. Excuse the spelling errors. I haven't had a chance to go through this yet. But to do budget management, if you've been in business more than a year, you always go to the year that you just had, unless there are reasons why you shouldn't do that. But most of us have been in business for more than 1 year, so we can go to the past year that we've had, and from there we can budget. Because if you, let's say, are a mortgage broker in 2024, and you are just one mortgage broker, and your business is not changing people-wise, you're just you. Your 2025, give or take some variations, is going to be very much like your 2024. You cannot say, I sold $100,000 last year and I worked 40 hours a week, and this year I'm going to work 40 hours a week and I'm going to sell $400,000, because it's just you. The same thing as if you have a restaurant. Restaurants, tend to be captives of their space. So if you have 10 tables and you do 2.5 turns per table or 10 turns per table, that's your ceiling, not your bottom. So if you budget something, that's the most you can have, not the least you can have. That's not your break-even point. So you have to have a budget, and you have to set goals that are realistic and achievable. And you have to have milestones for those goals throughout the year to check up on your progress. Now that doesn't have to be, difficult. It doesn't have to be, involved. You can do that with a piece of paper and a pen. And you can just track what's important in your business and make sure that you track those 4 or 5 things as they appear. Like when I was a young accountant, the firm I was with was a firm that did the audit for Tip Top Tailors, which has become, after that, it became a multinational corporation called Dilex. But at the time that I was involved with them, they were just Tip Top Tailors. And I remember sitting on the boardroom with the people who had started Tip Top Tailors in the 1920s, who were then pretty, they were then in their 80s, people. And I remember talking about an expansion that they needed to do for a plant, that for a plant. And the old guy said to me, don't bother me with figures. How many shirts do we need to sell to be able to afford that? So he brought his statistics down to what he knew best, which is shirt manufacturing. And if you said to him, we need to do 2 million shirts, it would say to you, well, we only have the capacity to do 1.5 million shirts with the 400 employees that we have and the 3 plants that we have. We cannot do more than 100,000 shirts. So if that's the case, something has to give it to increase the budget. We either increase the price or decrease our expenses. Decreasing the expenses are very difficult to do to be able to meet that budget. So you need to either increase the price or do something with the expenses. And that's the essence of management. That's what's difficult in management, is the increase of price or decrease of expenses. Marketing is just what you do after you take that decision. After you make the decision, you then formulate it in a marketing fashion. But before you do that, you have to know, what you're going to do, whether you're going to increase your price or decrease your expenses. If you're going to do that, you have to have a plan that considers all of the things that are affecting your business. You have to set deadlines and achievement of goals. You have to plan and you have to set it up as a roadmap. And you have to share your plan with employees, key customers, and family. So the more you are in small business, the more you have to share it with your family. If your family, especially your spouse, is not aware of your plan, forget it. It ain't gonna happen. Unless you do exactly what you did the year before. So if you're changing what you did the year before and you want to open up a new store, open up a new restaurant, open up a new office, you need to have your employees, your customers, and your family involved. Right now, my firm is going through, a series of meetings for mergers with other accounting firms. So the most resistance I'm getting right now in my office is from my employees. My wife is already committed to it. Heck, my wife is driving me to the meetings in Toronto sometimes. So she's already committed to it, right? She's committed to it. She's even, paying for hotels sometimes. She's doing all of that kind of stuff. But my employees are not committed to it. So my job is to have meetings with them at least once a week to review what we're doing, to review how their job is secure, to review what their new responsibility is going to be. And that is achieving nothing in the plan. That's just getting the people to get to the room to perform the plan. And sometimes that's really tough to do. Keeping the good sides of the government. I know that I'm saying that in spite of what's best for my firm, because when you don't keep the good sides of the government, you tend to end up here with problems. And that costs money, and we make money from that. So, but keeping this in the good side of government, remember that there are different deadlines depending on what kind of business you have. If you're a self-employed person, you are reporting as you would do for any type of personal event. For like your year end is January to December. If you're a corporation, you can have any year end you want to have based on where your lowest ebb is going to be. And if you're a partnership, you have to send your papers to CRA by March 17th. Now, to help you do that, CRA has mobile applications that help people decide who they are and how they need to talk to them. And you can talk to your accountant. I know that people don't like to spend money on fees, but an hour spent with us probably saves you 3 hours of work with the government. Some, like when we're getting, like if you have a very strange idea as a plan, and you don't know where you fit in the tax system, and you come to us, we will get a ruling for you, a ruling for GST and a ruling for income tax that says, I'm planning to do this. I'm planning to import this to Canada, or I'm planning to export this from Canada. I'm planning to do this. I'm planning to do it like this. Is it, can I proceed with it legally speaking? And they send a ruling saying, yes or no. You need to do this, and when they say no, they give you a reason of what you need to do to be able to make it into a yes. So, but that doesn't happen very often, because most of us work within the bubble that's called Canada, right? So it's when you're pushing against a bubble, or you go outside the bubble, that you need to get a ruling. It doesn't have to be something very involved. For example, if you're a self-employed person and you start a corporation, the transition between self-employed and a corporation has certain things that you might have a ruling. If you have a lot of assets as an individual that you want to put in, we would need to do something called a Section 85 rollover. And a Section 85 rollover has repercussions on shareholder loans and stock, and because of that, sometimes, excuse me, sometimes we need to get a ruling to make sure that the steps we're taking fall properly into the Income Tax Act of Canada. If you have inventory, you should never treat it as if it was permanent. An inventory is the blood of a business. And if you do not have good blood flow in your business, you will die. That's no other way to explain it. Inventory will kill you. That's why companies that have inventory, like retail companies, by definition have to have better planning than people who are, let's say, a government consultant, that works for D&D and works every day at D&D and is incorporated, and at the end of the year we see him here, we do the year end, and there's no planning involved other than he has to be healthy to be able to go to work. So make sure that you manage your inventory adequately, and make sure that you also take care of the equipment that performs your business. It could be, equipment will break down at the height of your cycle, not at the bottom of your cycle. So, if we're going to have computer problems here, we're going to have them in tax season, not, in August. So make sure that you have plan Bs in effect to be able to deal with that. Review your insurance. And I can talk to you about this personally. My insurance was going up like by $1,000 every year. My errors and omission insurance. And it comes due in April, so I never have time to actually do research as to what to do. So every year in April, I would have to renew. This year, I remember that in December. So I called someone I know, in Ottawa, and I said to them, can you give us a quote on errors and omission? It was 4 times cheaper than what I was paying. 4 times cheaper for the same thing, with the same company. So make sure that you know who you're dealing with, and make sure that you talk to your agent. if you have to deal with other people, like employees, make sure that they are part of your goals, and make sure that they make sure that you know how they fit in the delivery of your goals and plans, and make sure that your employees are trained and your employees are part of the mechanism of the business. If you have contracts with suppliers and relationships with other people, review those relationships. Make sure that the terms and conditions align with your goals. Beware of any legal or financial risk associated with your legal agreements that you have with those people. And that can happen to anybody, self-employed, corporation, partnership. We can get into trouble with this. So make sure that when you sign on the dotted line that you're going to deliver something that is deliverable, that you can do it. Do not say, well, I'm going to need 5 people to do this. Sign the contract and then go look for the 5 people. Because you will find that that's going to affect how you deliver that program, that job. Have an emergency fund, like whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable, but it could be 3 months worth of mortgage payments, or or it could be 2 weeks worth of billings, but have an emergency fund. And beware of your natural trends of your industry. A restaurant will always be broke in January, no matter how much money they make, at the end of the year. No matter how big their December was, in Ottawa, a restaurant will always be broke in January. And they will relate to you as if it was the end of the world. And that's because they don't do a cash flow, which is I'm going to talk about in a minute. They don't do a cash flow, and they don't realize that every January they're going to be at zero or a lower zero. And you need to have money in the bank to cover January and February so that you can continue, in March, April, May. And that's what a cash flow means. A cash flow means, like, you don't need a cash flow if you're self-employed and you're working as a consultant and you're working always for the same people. But if you have a business where you deal with other people, if you have a business where you send an invoice and then you get paid, if you have that kind of lag between working and payment, you need to have a cash flow, because the more business you do, the more resources it's going to take, and the more you're going to go down to zero temporarily, but the more you're going to go down to zero. And the more your business is seasonal or cyclical, the more cash flow management you need. Like if you have a golf course, well, the winter is not empty of expenses when you own a golf course. You need to maintain it. You have costs, but you don't have any revenue to cover those costs. So it has to be covered with the revenue that you had in the good season. So if the revenue you had in the good season is already gone, you're going to have to go to the bank for a loan, and banks do not like to give those kinds of loans. And that's why you need to have cash flow management, and that's why you need to have some sort of fund to be able to take, to be able to comply with that. Now, make sure that you know what your break-even point is. The break-even point is the amount you need to expand. Where sales cross expenses. That point there, where sales cross expenses, where your sales are 10 and your expenses are 10, and that's your break-even point. And then sales keep going up and your expenses are stable, right? So the further your break-even point is from that point, the more profitable you are. The more you are underneath that point, the more you're going to lose money. And some people don't know the break-even point. Talk to us. We will tell you how to measure your break-even point. And invest in technology. Whether it's start with the accounting software, or something like that. But, realize that AI is coming. It's coming to you. It's coming to your customers. It's coming to your suppliers. Whether you like it, whether you think it's good or not, it's coming because it's an aphrodisiac for capitalism because it's cheap. You know, you can have reception now that you think is a person manage your entire phone lines. You can have people talking to you, you know, on as a, you know, as a help desk who are not humans, but you don't know that. So that's who your competition is doing. So make sure that you are ready for it and make sure that you know how to address it. And if you need to know more about these things, we are located at 108 Equestrian Drive, Canada, Ontario, and we can reach at 613-254-7310, or our general email is info@espgaccountants.ca. Are there any other questions?
Wow, Eric. So when do you, where do you first quick question. Yeah, I get the accounting piece. The accounting, is there a kind of like a perfect triad, like a lawyer? You know, are there like the perfect people that should be around you when you start a business? That way you're not left hanging in the wind.
You should have a lawyer that knows business, not your brother-in-law that does criminal law, but a lawyer that does corporate law. Okay, you need to that. You need to have an accountant that deals with people like you know, that deals with owners of companies, and you need to have, you know, you as a central point in there. So you, a lawyer, and an accountant. Okay, that triad needs to be there before you get out to the street.
And just one quick question. Hang on, Norm. Sorry. So would having colleagues, not necessarily competitors, could be competitors too, but having colleagues, would that be a benefit to businesses?
Well, you know,
Like a network.
yes, managing is a very lonely job, and being owner of a business is a really lonely position. So if you can have people inside that management, just for psychological reasons, it's going to help you. You know, if you have good people, of course, but just for psychological reasons, it's going to help you. If you understand that it takes a team to move something rather than it takes you to move something, it's, you know, you're already halfway through the budget planning.
But would you not have a community around you, a business networking community around you also? That's an internal team. You
Yes,
rely
but
on external teams.
you not everybody can do that. Some people can do that, but not everybody can do that. If you're going to start a restaurant, you know, the community is going to be the people inside the kitchen and the people serving. And there's always going to be a hierarchical setup, because the owner, you know, although the owner will be washing dishes and the owner will be serving as well, but the employees will relate to the owner on a hierarchical basis. So, but you know, having a job where you are, you know, giving soft side services like consulting, you know, management advice and so on, you can do it through a team that specializes in those services, and you can organize yourself better that way, and it will be better for your psychic anyways. You know, it'd be better for your psychic, and it's better to manage a business if you're willing to take advice from other people. Not everybody is willing to do that.
Norm, over to you, sir.
Bernie, a small business, so like single proprietorship, at what volume do you have to start collecting HST?
You start HST, you start doing it after you have 4 quarters that reach 30,000. Not 30,000 a year, 4 consecutive quarters that reach 30,000. So
No.
if you are January to December year end, and your sales are $15,000 the third quarter, $15,000 the fourth quarter, You don't start at zero the next quarter. Now and the next quarter, in the next year is 15,000. You're already in the GST world because it's 4 consecutive quarters, not 4 quarters in a year.
So you have to make 120,000 a year,
No, $30,000 to collect GST.
$30,000 in the year.
Yes, in 4 consecutive quarters.
For another 10 minutes.
Are you saying an aggregate total of 30,000 per quarter, or 30,000 if
The 30,000 that for 4 consecutive quarters that total 30,000.
Okay.
That's how the
Tony?
law was written.
Tony, you're muted, and so you can keep asking that question, but it's going to be a long one.
Yeah. So I guess in if it goes from June to the next June, and that's when you do your 30,000. It's not from January to December. It's
No.
Yeah.
It's 4 quarters. If you start in January and you have 4 quarters in the year that equals 30,000,
Yeah.
you collect GST. If you have 3 quarters that don't equal 30,000, and the next quarter makes you do 30,000, you have to start collecting GST in that quarter, in the beginning of the 5th quarter. It's confusing, but you can do it on paper and it looks simple.
Okay.
Taxes are complicated when they're hypothetical, but as soon as they start charging you money, you start realizing how simple they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's about 20.
So, Eric, if someone is about to do, I say a new venture, should they come talk to you and say, "Hey, this is what I want to do. I've been in business now. I want to do add-on." Let's say Sam wants to rebuild cars. He's not doing that, but let's say he wants to rebuild classic cars. I'm sure he'd enjoy that if he had a garage for that. But if he's to make that a business, or if someone else is to do something, would it be advisable for them to come talk to you first and say, "Listen, this is what I see happening," to build out the budget, so that way it's some things they'll know, but some things they won't know?
Yes. It's better to start with something on paper, something that even if you say you're going to do X and you don't, and at the end of the year you don't get to X, at least you have the experience of why you did not get to X. So the next year you can plan better, starting from that point. And sometimes a business is self-explanatory. I call that my brother-in-law Albert's example. When I was in university, my brother-in-law Albert, who was not yet my brother-in-law, wanted to buy a bakery. And all I knew about him was his living behavior, right? He stayed up late, and he got up late. So I took him to Health Bread Bakery in Toronto, and I said, "Let's go get something at the bakery." And at the door, I said to him, "What is this telling you, Albert?" And he says, "Well, what? We need to go in there and get something." I said, "No. Read what you see. What did the Royal Bank ad say there? From the Royal Bank." And he says, "Well, the opening hours." I said, "You have to be here at 3:30 in the morning to be able to start, at 4. So no matter how much money you have, no matter how well-intentioned you are, this business does not fit you because your lifestyle, does not fit the business."
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to realize that lifestyle doesn't fit your business.
Or change.
I'm going to wrap this up with a quick quote from Vincent van Gogh. Normality is a paved road. It's comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow.
How true that is.